Mr. Campbell sent an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. Is there objection to the option amendment? The chair hears none. The amendment is adopted. The chair recognizes Mr. Johnson of Harris. Mr. Johnson of Harris to speak in opposition to the bill.
Get him out. Take him out. Get him out of here.
It's not right. You want Niave? Chair has Ms. Niave Criado to speak in opposition.
The chair recognizes Ms. Niave Criado to speak in opposition to the bill.
Thank you, Ms.
Just voted to send articles of impeachment against Attorney General Ken Paxton over to the Senate for a trial. He has been impeached.
I want to talk about Texas politics and how everything's gone to shit down here.
21 ayes and 23 nays, 2 present not voting, 3 absent. The resolution is adopted. The chair directs the chief clerk to notify the governor.
Attorney General Ken Paxton says he believes Speaker Dade Phelan has been conducting House business while in a state of, quote, debilitating intoxication.
And the Attorney General is calling for the Speaker to resign. Paxton has not provided any real hard proof of his allegation, but
several former Attorney General's office aides came forward saying they'd been fired after reporting Paxton for taking bribes. They said Paxton abused his power to benefit a friend and political donor named Nate Paul, who's an Austin businessman. And earlier this year in February, Paxton was ordered to pay $3.3 million to settle the lawsuit with whistleblowers. He wanted to use taxpayer money for that. In March, the House General Investigating Committee started looking into Paxton and those whistleblower firings.
Gregg Abbott's got his own problems. He's pretending to be, tough on immigration because, that's his thing now. He's got to be MAGA, who can be the most MAGA.
Oh, throw him the hell out of here.
I bet you, though, in 1994, there were a fair number of people out there who genuinely did not realize Forrest Gump was mentally handicapped.
Too much diversity will kill a country. Look at Europe. And this is what I'm at. That's what America First means. You take care of Americans. If you want to come to this country, another thing I want to say, come to this country and respect our laws. Come here with pride, love this country, learn the language. We have a common language. If you don't have a common language, you have nothing.
I've made it known, if I win, they're going back.
Deployed more National Guard, thousands of National Guard than ever before in the history of the state. More than 1,000 Texas Department of Public Safety troopers.
Bigot!
Who's number one with Hispanics? Trump.
Yes, you told us
Trump.
that earlier.
You can have your culture, but how about embrace one common denominator that'll unite us? See, what they're trying to do now is divide us. They want all these different factions, all these different nationalities, and it's driving people apart. I want to bring people to come together. The only way in my mind to do that is to speak the same language, communicate properly.
Now, America is the South of the rest of the Western world, right? I don't care if you're from Portland, Minneapolis, San Francisco. As far as France is concerned, you Mississippi now.
It's a common, easy thing. Why not expect people to come here to learn English? Is that an unfair request? Do you think it's unfair?
So the piece of shit bitches all the time about how hard it is for Texas cities to deal with those hordes of Mexicans that are coming across the border.
Build the wall. We need the wall.
And Mexico will pay for the wall.
I didn't want her to pray to somebody else's God. I would take her out of that school.
But what if it's a public school?
I would take her out of the public school.
And then what are his options?
Homeschool.
So if you don't believe in Jesus, homeschooling is probably better?
It's better. Why don't people believe in Jesus?
You come to this country, accept our beliefs, accept what we are, accept who we are, or don't come. And that's not to be mean, it's just to say, don't come here and try to change our country to your beliefs. That's what I see them trying to do. You're trying to force something down our throat that we don't want.
You worried that people from elsewhere might find out where you're from and make broad, sweeping assumptions about you? Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Death, destruction,
Tens of thousands of people who are trying to cross the border illegally.
and weakness.
Governor Abbott in Brownsville today to bring attention to the security efforts being made at the U.S.-Mexico border. The governor announced that the state of Texas is now busing more than 19,000 migrants to Denver, making this the 5th city outside of Texas where they have been sent.
So he sends them to another city, which is fine. Democratic cities can handle them because they have, goods and services there. Not like Texas towns where they've been falling apart for 40 years.
But don't try to say that the country that was founded on Judeo-Christian beliefs can't believe those beliefs.
Is anybody saying that, though, from what you're hearing?
Anybody saying that?
Yeah.
No, but they've certainly taken religion and put in the back seat to it. It's in the back seat.
No, but all the stereotypes that, like, the rest of the country has for the South are the same stereotypes that Europe has for Americans in general. Like, oh, they're all loud, they're all dumb.
And then when they come back, we take them back. Oh, come on back.
Gregg Abbott also announced he is making efforts to bring in more security. He highlighted a bill that aims to make penalties tougher for those crossing at the border.
One thing I do support is America's freedom in just about every other way.
They all love Jesus, they're all racist, they all got guns. And as a Southerner and as an American, I hear that shit and I'm like, hey, yes.
Now, the Speaker of the House of Texas, that's a completely different story. This son of a bitch, well, see it for yourself.
Mr. Campbell sent an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. Is there objection to the opposite amendment? The chair has none. The amendment is adopted.
Now, a lot of people are coming to this guy's defense. When I say a lot of people, I mean absolutely no one.
And unless the speaker took a sobriety test, it would be hard to prove. Certain other voices will weigh in before it's over. As for Phelan, as yet, he has not commented.
Fast forward to this week. On Tuesday, the committee announced that it would subpoena Paxton. And on Wednesday morning, the committee heard from investigators who testified that they believe Paxton misspent office funds and misused his power to benefit Nate Paul. The committee adopted articles of impeachment on Thursday, and today the House voted to impeach the Attorney General.
Now, the Attorney General of Texas, he's a scum-sucking piece of shit.
That triggered what is now an ongoing investigation by the Department of Justice and by the FBI. But Darrenisha, more importantly, at least in this context, it also triggered a lawsuit by those 4 whistleblowers. Over the past couple of years, that lawsuit has been winding its way through the court, but earlier this year, they reached a tentative settlement agreement of $3.2 million. And officials have said, and lawmakers who were on that investigating committee have said, in fact, Ken Paxton's request that taxpayer dollars be used to pay that $3 million that then led to their investigation, and they're bringing forward those 20 articles of impeachment earlier this week.
He had a bunch of charges against him. But the Trump administration, as you would expect, made sure that the Justice Department let all that go.
Under Texas law, Ken Paxton is now suspended from office. He is no longer able to act under the law as Texas Attorney General.
So now to hear Ken Paxton bitch about another piece of shit? Well, what can I say? Fuck them both.
If in fact he is convicted, his removal, his suspension from office then becomes permanent. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick will preside over the proceeding in the Senate, but Darrenisha, he has said very little about the timing of that, when the Senate could take up this matter. Keep in mind the legislative session, they are in session right now, ends on Monday. So the open question as we sit here this evening is whether or not the Senate may take up this matter.
It's all about who can be MAGA enough. But it's not just about that. Both of these guys have plans. And their plans are blowing up. Gregg Abbott? He never had a shot. That's just life, I guess. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy.
It gets close to that evil and I feel it and my whole spirit just goes, They call that crazy. That's not crazy. That's my will, my human spirit saying, crush those that would hurt the innocent. Go after the enemy. Build a civilization. Be honorable. crush the snakes under your feet.
State is real in America.
It's about a deep state, a deep state.
Socialist, communist, Marxist, deep state, deep state.
It's about a deep state.
And the swamp creatures, deep state, radical left, deep state, deep state. And the swamp creatures, deep state, radical left, deep state.
Is real in America.
It's about a deep state.